Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham here with my partner. We have a special guest today, coach of the YSU Penguins, Coach Jerry Slocum. Coach, welcome to the show.
Always my pleasure.
No, it's our pleasure.
We love when you come. We look forward to this day. We knew set since you've been here last time, but same thing. We want to talk about the hoops. Now let's get started. Just a basic question. October 15th, the legal starting day. Championship in April. Coach, would you like to see us shorten a little?
You know what, George, there's a new rule right now that says that you can go back 40 days from your first game and get 30 practices in. So we started actually back on, I think it was October the 2nd.
Okay.
So, wow. And again, a lot of my peers say that's they've lengthened it. My feeling was it's a positive because now you're not going, we over the last 3 weeks, we've not gone more than 2 days. We've gone 2 days off a day, 2 days off a day. This week we practice today, we're off tomorrow, we're practicing on Wednesday, we're off on Thursday. And what that has done is, back when you were going on the 15th, you were going 6 days in a row.
Right.
And then you were off. And then you're going 6 more days. I have found that it's a lot more positive for their bodies and their mental capacity and the coaching staffs to be able to go really, really hard for 2 days and take a day off. And I've really gotten it to the point where we're up until the week before our last scrimmage, we're never going more than 3 days in a row. So far, we've only gone 2 days, like I said, and off. So I have found it to be much more beneficial. Then on top of that, we went out and had a foreign tour this summer, so we got a chance to practice. And again, you guys know you can't ever tell a coach you can never get enough practice time.
No, you don't need it.
But the bottom line to it is, I think you have to be smarter. You have to be more sensitive to the length of the practices. We've not gone more than 2 hours. And when I say 2 hours, and people say, well, how long do you go? That includes your stretching. That includes your pre-practice walkthrough. So if you take that 25 minutes or 20 minutes every day, we're not going a whole lot more than an hour and 35 minutes, which, again, I think is a positive for me because you get to teach more, but it's also much more of a break for them.
Well, here's the positive I see of it, and I've seen your players already, Coach, and I know you're going to be in the top 15 in scoring in the country. You got scoring machines. If you're as good as you want to be and you hope to be, then they're going to be fresher late in the year.
Right.
See, that's one of the things about coach. When do you want to be playing your best?
Right.
I know for teams like YSU, you have to beat the Georgias early. You have to beat something to get their attention. But when that tournament comes around at the end of the year,
right. And again, Albert, that's why I talk to everybody. I'm up recruiting a kid in Cleveland, and Coach Patino's in there from Louisville. So I asked him what they do. I said, what are you doing now that you can start early?
He has some perks you don't have. They got some perks down there that I don't believe we have at YSU. If we do, I haven't heard about them.
I'm not going to touch that one. They probably have too many perks.
But they do, yeah.
But what he does is, Albert, he goes 7 to 8:30 every morning, and then he practiced in the afternoon, like 3 to 5:30. So
just the opposite.
Yeah, so they're going everybody has their own feel for it. For me, I want us to go an hour 25, an hour or 2 hours, hard intensity. You know how fast we play, so we practice fast.
Yes.
We're sprinting to drill, and you get to that 2 hour mark, and those guys are falling over. So, but we're also giving a lot of time off too.
Well, that trip you took in the summer, that's when I came to see your team, and I got the great impression about your offense. How did that go over, Coach? I know it's every 4 years. Is that what it is?
Yeah, once every 4 years.
Tell the fans a little bit about how it occurred, what happened, and were you pleased?
It was one of the best things that I've ever done, especially with this group, in terms of as new as we are and as young as we are. We're freshman, sophomore at the point. We're sophomore at the 2. We're freshman, sophomore at the 3. We're all the way around. We're a really young group. For us to be able to go over there, Albert, and play physical, tough. How international play is. I mean, they're going to just knock you on the ground every time that they get. And for us to go and beat a really good team the first night by 4, and then we lost to a team that had beaten St. Louis and some of those other teams by 3 in a really close game, and then we blew out the last team. So it was one of the best things that I've done in my coaching career in terms of helping a group get ready early and being able to find out what you can do, what you can't do. I was really pleased. I thought our young point guards kind of held up under the gun. So it was a real good thing for us.
So I tell you what you taught me, coaches, is so the competition of these teams are pretty darn good.
Oh,
see, I didn't know that. That's what.
Well, you can go from playing really, really, really good teams one day, and then another team. It was funny. St. Louis lost a game in overtime, and a kid made a 21-foot shot to beat them. And I was talking to one of their assistant coaches the next day because we're all at Atlantis, the beautiful resort area, and the guy told me, he said, "Listen, coach," he said, "that guy that beat you, he didn't make it to the game on time. He missed the first quarter because he was working painting the bridge that we went over."
Oh.
Think of that.
You know what I mean? So these guys come into that area, they find any job that they can. Like one of the guys had like 6 threes on us. He was like, he was a man. He was 28 years old, had played in Europe, was still playing in Europe, making big money, had played in the States. So you're playing against some really, really, really good competition.
And the physicality. They're men. You understand? They're men.
Yeah,
dude.
and
Yes.
and they're just and they have their officials. And so I was really and then they have the international rules, which are so much different from ours. Where,
Did you get a chance to practice those ahead of time?
well,
The kids knew the rules. Going
yeah,
over?
we tried.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's stuff like coaches can't call timeouts. You have to go to the scores table and you got to call a timeout, and then the scores table will, at a dead ball, whenever the ball's live, nobody can call a timeout. So there's a lot of little things like that by game 2 we were comfortable with, but in game 1, we had 5 guys foul out in game 1. They shot 57 foul shots.
Wow.
And we won.
Yes.
Where was this? What country?
It was in the Bahamas.
Okay, you're in the Bahamas. I wasn't sure. I knew he had said something. When he said Atlantis, I thought so. It just sounds like a great way to bring you together.
You got to go.
Right, great way to bring your team together.
Yeah, that was an
too,
awesome
and
trip.
So
It was
that's
good.
well worth it.
Yeah.
Now the international rules, 3-pointers a little further, but not quite the NBA, right in between, right?
3-4. The NBA clock 24.
Okay.
It's the international lines back further.
Okay.
You don't get a reset on 10-second over half court and stuff. Again, the biggest thing was, coaches can't call timeouts.
Yeah. They used to be able to hit the ball off the rim. Can you still do that?
Still do that.
Yes.
And again, you had to be a man going to the rim because you were going to get knocked to the floor.
Down.
So it was great for us because you're playing against 3 guys that are officiating that don't understand you.
Would you like it close? I know we think the 3's too close for college, high school. Okay, we think it's too close where it is. Would you like to see it back a little bit?
I tell you what, George, I don't think it affected us.
Okay.
I don't think we obviously there were so many lines on the floor, but they had the NBA line, they had that line, and then they had the college line.
That's amazing.
So there were so many lines. Our
But
guys
it's not a heave.
No.
In other words, I think the NBA looks like a heave,
Right.
like for college guys.
Right.
No, it was a solid. It didn't affect us in terms of shot. We had one guy, one of our freshmen, made 7 threes in a game,
Okay.
and they were all from the international line.
They play zone or man. The other teams.
A little bit of both. Mostly man. No, most very pick you up full court.
Oh.
The guys were in shape.
So that's how the point guard did. That's why he did well then. He handled all that.
And they got beat up. I'm talking about it. The physicality was just off the charts. And I thought our guys played through it well.
Yeah, especially as young as you are, Coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're used to being the prima donna in high school, not getting hit, and now all of a sudden they're getting beat up,
Yeah.
and they have to say, hey, and you could say to them, get ready for our league. Because I know your league plays the same way.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so it's a great condition in your league. Tell us a little bit about your recruiting coach, your personnel, the things that that your fans like to know about.
Well, I think we're definitely, we're different than we have been in the past in the fact that we know we have some really good size. You know what I mean? We're,
Big, you're really big.
Yeah, we have, we've never been like this where you have a 7-footer in the post. We're moving Bobby to like a 4-man position at 6'10". Your threes are 6'7" and 6'6". Both of our guards are 6'2" or bigger. So, it's a different look from us. But as you know, because you saw us practice,
Yes.
the other side of that is that we really shoot the ball well.
Unbelievable shooting
You know
team.
what I mean?
Unbelievable
So,
shooting team.
all of our guys, 1 through really 8 or 9, really shoot the basketball.
Yes.
Will you play 9?
Yeah, we'll play 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, with the rule changes supposedly going back to where they were a year ago, with the rule changes going back to where all that stuff's going to be called, I don't think the bench is going to be a bigger part of college basketball than it has been in the last 20 years.
They started out calling out remember they did, and then all of a sudden they got lenient. They started letting people go again. I know. Did you see that, Coach? Too?
Well, the year 2 years ago, scoring was up, and they called it. Last year, basically all the big time officials and older officials, didn't want to call it anymore. And now that's when you get all the bad press in the media during the NCAA tournament. You can't score.
Right.
So let's change the clock. Let's change this rule. Let's change that rule. And we just came out of league meetings with us, and I told our head of our, officials, the commissioner of our officials, the only thing that needs to change, is the officiating. The officiating, it's like I'll use last night in the football game. When you watch the football game in the NFL, how many times you hear the announcer say, "There's so many flags," and then they'll go back and they'll show that this guy grabbed this arm, or that guy grabbed that shoulder,
and roll our flag.
And they're sitting there saying, "Well, it's just another flag," and those officials are going to end up making that call because their job depends on it. Those guys, if they don't make that call, they're going to be written up, and they won't be in the league the next year.
Because that's what they're
So
saying.
if 2 hands is a foul, you better see. Now here's what I've found from my buddies through high school, and they think they're pretty good. Like, they think those aren't for them. Like, they're for the young guys that we got this. In other words, I don't need you to tell me they can't put both hands on to control the game. Have you felt your old timers might be a little full of themselves in that respect?
That's absolutely right, and that's why it went from a good year to a bad year in terms of scoring and because of the officiating. The NFL wanted more scoring, so what did they do? They changed the way the game was called. They didn't change they changed the way the officials were going to call the game. And that's what college basketball has to do.
That's how it's going to change. If you get one more scoring, tell them to call what they're supposed to
Like
call.
he says, you can't play good defense in football anymore.
You can't.
I said to him one time, they had 30. He said, the more I think about it, 30 wasn't too bad. They had 600 yards. You're not allowed to touch them.
Well, and again, the point being, LeBron went to an Ohio State game, which was a Big Ten game last year. He tweeted out coming home, and I shared this with our head of officials. He tweeted out coming back, the college game is so much more physical than the NBA game.
Think of that.
You know what I mean? So you want to know why scoring's down. Scoring's down because of the physicality of the play. And if you can have all these rule changes. So what did they do? They took away the clock. They took away timeouts from coaches. They made all these changes to the game when really the only change that they need was to go back to where the officials are calling. You know what I mean? Impeachment of movement.
Yes, you can't stop them moving. That's
Right.
as simple as that.
You know what I mean?
With the dribble or without on the cut.
That's right. The guy goes to the basket. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the ball. He's getting jacked up and knocked down. That's a foul. Call the foul. You know what I mean? That's where the game really needs to get back to.
We'll talk about the rule changes later.
Here's where it comes, Coach. Guys like you who coach, you know how much we respect you. You coach it the right way, and then there's some nutcase over there telling their kid, "Hey, hold them, do this," and they get away with doing it the wrong
and again,
way.
It's there's 4 teams in our league that are going to coach, chuck, move, hold.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And
all of a sudden, you're in a game and you're in a big moment, and I mean we lost
a lot of close games. You know how many close games you're in?
I mean, you're in all those games, and all of a sudden now, you're coming off a screen and you've got it, and all of a sudden the guy that's guarding you, knocks you off that screen
Yes.
where your guy can't get it, that's a foul.
It's a foul.
And you have to call those fouls to have it be a part so that basketball is a beautiful game that it was meant to be.
Right.
It wasn't meant to be won every day in the weight room.
I couldn't agree with you more. I hear these guys saying, like I remember Huggins said once, he said, about kids not shooting, he said, it's the defense. He said, you think these guys can't, you play horse with this guy, you think these guys can't shoot.
That's
But
exactly
when you're allowed
right.
to push them and knock them down and put your elbow on them,
Yep.
I mean, it's a
I
different.
mean, again, in the NBA, you touch a guy, it's a foul. You touch a guy with one hand where you're controlling him, it's a foul. It's not maybe, it's boom, foul. You know what I mean?
And they learn that, Coach. That's the other thing. Coaches and the players now start coaching. The players especially start understanding that I maybe give them a little more room or whatever they have to do. But they're not going to keep fouling and foul out.
Exactly.
You know.
How many guys right now in the NFL this year have led with their helmets and have been ejected from a game relevant to?
It's not happening. They learn.
You don't see it.
No, they learn. They
You
learn.
know what I mean?
Don't
So
do
those
it.
guys they're not doing it.
Yes.
No.
And it's the same thing with our game. If they will be consistent and they'll call it, but again, now this is where where I think the power's got to go to the commissioners of all the leagues in terms of who assigns officials. This guy doesn't do it, then he doesn't work.
He doesn't get a job, right?
Do you have a
yes.
system in your league where you can say, I don't want so-and-so? How's that work, Coach? That always intrigues me because we have leagues in high schools where some pick their own, some have commissioners, some blackball. Sometimes they're the guy, here he comes. Biggest game of the year. Here comes the guy. I guess they didn't get my list.
Believe me, I wish that we had that. But no, you know, I mean, supposedly at the Division I level, you can give your opinion by rating them at the end of the year. You don't have a say in terms of who you get, who you don't get. Not, much to my dismay.
Did you get the list of the week of the game, a month ahead, season one? Do you know who the officials are going to be?
No, what our guy does in our league is that he won't tell you before really like 2 or 3 weeks because it's a fluid movement. Meaning there might be a guy that's a top guy official that's doing the pit game, and he's in town. And he finds out that he can get him for, like a Wednesday game or a Thursday game. So you'll know about 2 weeks in advance.
Do you know what they make in your league?
Yeah, I know.
Could you tell us? I mean,
Well, I think it depending on their travel and their stipend for travel and anything like that. I believe that they're making somewhere between $2,500 and $4,000.
6 games a week, 5 games a week. I told him that one. I
You
didn't.
said per game.
Yeah, that's what they
yeah,
make.
per
Yeah.
game, sure.
That Teddy Valentine does 6 games a week, $5,000 a game.
This is
Oh,
unbelievable.
those guys are making
Yeah,
$250,000.
yeah, they're trying. Matter of fact, the one guy said he has to be tired somewhere. He can't be in St. Louis Tuesday night, Indianapolis Wednesday night, and in Wake Forest Thursday night. Someone's got to get a lesser version of Teddy Valentine.
Yes. We had an official this year or this last year who I will not comment to. Came in, body language was horrible from the very beginning. A big time guy.
Mhm.
Our commissioner thinks that it's a great get for us to be able to
Mhm.
have him, and whatever. He hadn't been home in 16 days.
He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there.
Hey, I played
He did
Little
not.
Division 2, and this Hermjack was like the guy, and he and his buddy, they did ACC the night before, like I'm watching on TV. They're doing Lenny Elmore, and
I hear
then the next night, they're at the Shippensburg game, like this.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, they
No
got to
chance.
think this is a clown show to
You
them.
don't have a chance.
And I told a kid the other day, we have a young kid who's working his way up in football. He
the
texted
other day it happened,
me
yes.
Saturday morning before the radio show. He says, I got Cheney and Lock Haven. I said, hey, to those two, that's the most important game they've had.
Exactly.
Ref it that way. And he's only a young man, but I'm thinking he should learn now.
We had a guy last year, for an example, that did the Kansas, like he did a Kansas game against somebody, Baylor, and the game was nip and tuck and all the way down. I walk out, it's him. You know what I mean? I said, hey, saw you on TV last night. How's your energy tonight?
Good job.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'll say that when I'm shaking their hands before the
Yes,
game.
that's a
Yeah.
great job.
Say, hey, you looked really good on TV last night,
Yeah.
man. You really refereed hard. How's your energy? How you feeling?
You're hitting the spot right there.
Because
I expect your best.
He couldn't have had rest. There's no possible way.
Absolutely not.
We were saying the other day, I was telling him, I said, I don't know if this means anything. I said, I heard Joey Batista, they were interviewing him. He had 3 hours sleep, wasn't packed properly. He said he had to go buy clothes. I don't know how focused could you, and they got
Can't say
whacked,
they-
they got shut out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only serve one master.
That's right.
You know, now how about when you walk in, do you ever not know who's on the game and you walk in, you see the guy coming with his bag and you're like, there's Harry.
I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of times that I don't even want to know.
I don't blame you.
Because it just makes me grumpy for days.
And you can't change it.
That's right. I mean, I'm not going to change it. I mean, there's a lot of nights, we'll be in a pre-practice whatever situation 2 days before, and one of our assistants will have that scout. He'll say, "Do you want to know who's on the game?" And I say, "Is it going to tick me off?" And they'll say,
Probably.
"You're not going to want to know." I said, "Then
Don't bring it up at all.
Don't tell.
Yes.
Don't tell me." So like our guys know, our staff guys knows. If they come to me now and say, "Hey, do you want to know?" I know it's 3 good. I know
It's good news.
Are you tough on him? Are I don't. I've seen you play maybe 4 or 5 times. I don't know that you're particularly tough on him.
No, I don't think I am. I'm sure that they'll say I talk too much, but I think I talk when I'm right.
But you're always talking basketball.
Yeah.
You're never talking to them.
insult them.
I've been right down behind your bench, coach. You don't talk to them.
No,
You'll question basketball.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you're questioning what we just talked about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Listen, call it the way it's supposed to be called.
Right.
That is what you're usually questioning.
Same on both
Yes.
ends is my thing. Same, that has to be. It can't be a charge down there and a block here in the same situation.
Well, I'll use a quick story from one of the guys that I think is one of the best officials in college basketball. He's done 2 Final Fours in the last 4 years.
That tells you right there, right?
I mean, he lives in the area, and he does our game. And he was with a guy. I think we were playing like Cleveland State a couple years ago, and he was on that game. And I was on one of the younger officials for a call. And I heard him at the timeout as I was walking out saying to the one officials, he said, "Listen, if he's on you like that, you probably missed it because he knows basketball."
Isn't that awesome?
Okay, so
Isn't that awesome?
So to me, I don't think I'm just
You're not.
getting on somebody just to, just for the sake of getting on them.
Now, your wife's a different story in the stands.
Oh. That's not.
She's not letting up from the
No,
time
no.
that ball goes up. She's ready.
Kim's
Kim's ready.
Hey, let's not go there.
And the truth. Shot clock, 35
go
to
over
30.
that, yeah.
It really doesn't affect you much because you play so fast.
No, I think that the only difference you're going to see, Albert, is the fact that you're going to just see a lot more bad shots. You know what I mean?
You know what?
I mean?
You must listen to our phone
Wish we
calls.
had you here. Because we've talked about this 20 times. All they're going to do is run a high pick and roll with 5 instead of 10, and the bad shot's going to be the same.
I mean, everybody thinks that scoring's going to go up, and field goal percentages are going to. What's going to end up happening is this: it's all going to be fool's gold because the officiating is going to change the game, and they're going to end up taking more foul shots. So scoring's going to be up.
See, it worked.
What you have to look at is this: field goal percentage. Look at team's field goal percentage and 3-point field goal percentage. Okay, if that is significantly lower, then you know that all they did was they sped up bad shots, and the offense was now forced to take more bad shots than taking, taking good shots.
I agree. We agree 100%.
If they wanted to do something, then they should have taken it to the NBA 24, and then all of a sudden now you're speeding up the game.
Right.
To go to 35, we played 24/7 clock in Bahamas, didn't have a violation.
Oh, that's how you play, too. That's good.
Yeah.
What you said, that's what we think bad shots.
Yeah,
That's number
yeah.
one.
How about another rule change the arm bar in the post if the back's to it?
Yeah.
Will that make a big... That
Yeah.
sounds like, oh boy, we're going to clean it up.
Well, again, you go to the NBA stuff, and the NBA stuff was that you can armbar. The second that your elbow dislodges, then it's a foul. So, again, what it does is, I like the rule change because it gives those guys an opportunity to be consistent with the game that's being called. Because in the old days, this guy was letting this guy go. This guy was letting that guy go. Next guy you come in. And again, one of my biggest complaints early in the game was, I hate it. It sends me into orbit when there's a foul call like 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds into a game. I think, especially in the post play, in the old days, that those officials should have been talking those kids through and say, keep your hands off, that's a foul.
Right.
How do they know? One night they were grabbing those guys and knocking them down, it wasn't a foul. And then the next night you barely touch a guy, it's a foul. You know, and again, early in the games when people would say, man, you were really on those guys. I was on those guys because they called five fouls in the first 20 seconds of the game, and nobody knows how the game's going to be officiated yet.
Now they know, though, right?
Yeah,
now they should know.
You know what I mean? You can arm bar and you can go. But you know, as we go forward, there's a couple of rule changes that I really, really am perturbed about.
Let me talk reverse. Let me last one more moment on that one, Coach. I'll tell you why that's important for you. You're big. That's important for you. They better tell the defense how to play you, because that ball's going to go in there much more than ever YSU. Well, so they better know how to play.
And again, we're not going to have to settle, Albert, for taking, you know, coming down in big moments of games, for example, and taking, you know, 18-foot jump shots when the game's on the line. You know, we're going to be able to play in and out, and you know, our three bigs are as good as I think they're as good as anybody in the league. So
no question about it.
You know, Bobby, you know, Jordan and Sid, you know, all three of those guys can score in numerous ways around the basket.
Yeah, so that's going to be big for you that they do call it the right way, and especially at the end of the games. As I said, a lot of times at the end of the game, a lot of people just give the ball to their point guard and get out of the way. You're going to throw the ball into the post and expect to, hey, just because there's 7 seconds left, don't let them do this now.
Right.
Make sure they call it right.
The two I want to talk about, I think, I know the 5-second closely guarded is gone. How do you keep a guy from backing in? Are you going to have to run two at him? Seems to me that's NBA basketball.
Yeah, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna have to get guys and going after him, and if they're gonna protect him like they say they are, you're in a big time hurt right there. So, you know, you get a big guard, you got that guy can stand out there for 12 seconds. You're gonna have to come up. You're gonna have to come up with something, in terms of of chasing that guy out.
Well, we talked about this. You know, when I went to coach's practice, and I remember talking to this, and I want the fans to know this. I said immediately, you agree with me. This gives the big time schools the major an advantage that they never had before.
Yeah.
They'll have a 6'6" guard, and you're big. Remember, you have a big team. You said your guards are 6'2". They're going to have a 6'6" guard. They're going to get the ball to, and he's going to start backing in like Barkley does.
You're going to have to run two out.
And you know, and now if they're put their hands up, foul. Well, how do you can't? The big time teams are going to be seen more in the Final Four than ever before because of that rule, and I believe that.
Let me ask you, the instant replay rule, I don't want to get specific. I just want to say, how does it differ when the Indiana game's on and there are 10 cameras and the Valpo game's on and there are 2? How's the replay different?
I mean, it's not. They're just getting better angles. But they're still going to the, Division I. They're still going. Every league, like our league, has mandated starting last year that everybody has to have a monitor and somebody in the gym to be able to show those officials. Now, I mean, there's a lot of little rule changes about elbows, and that is a flagrant 1, is it a flagrant 2? Well, now if the kid faked it, it's a technical foul on the kid, and now it's not because of the replay rule.
Right.
So there's a lot of nuances in officiating that's there.
30 seconds, Coach.
Yeah. Well, Coach, here's what I saw. As you talked to us, it was a teaching tool today for us. Every other time we taught a lot of different angles. You taught us and the fans everything what's going on. I'm here for sure that I know you're doing that. I've seen your practice.
Yeah.
They're being taught. That's what you're an educator on the court. That's why we appreciate you so much, and we appreciate you coming today.
Absolutely, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks again. We really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Thank you for watching Bottom Line Sports Talk. See you next week.
Are you a lawyer? Great. You won't have any trouble navigating this unwieldy satellite contract. But for the rest of us, it's easy to get lost in a morass of early termination fees, upcharges, and restrictions. Still thinking of switching to satellite? Better call legal.
With television service from Armstrong, there's no dense legalese to sort through. Armstrong, one wire, infinite possibilities.